All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the Pittsylvania County Fire and Rescue Commission, Wednesday, July 10th, 2024, 6:30 p.m., 39 Bank Street, Chatham, Virginia. Call the roll, please.
Jimmy Atkins.
Present.
Ben Meeks.
Here.
Alan Casper.
Here.
Ward Rowland.
Here.
Tim Cassell. Brian Shields.
Here.
Kermit King.
Here.
Steve Stallings.
Here.
Coleman Mayhew.
Here.
Bert Sellers.
Here. All right, thank you, gentlemen. We'll observe a moment of silence, and then we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank y'all. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Moves us down to any additions or revisions to the agenda. All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
All right. I heard Alan Casper. Do I hear a second? Second, Coleman Mayhew. Any discussion on the motion? If not, call the roll, please.
Jimmy Atkins.
Approved.
Ben Meeks.
Yes.
Alan Casper.
Yes.
Ward Rowland.
Yes.
Tim Cassell.
Yes.
Brian Shields.
Yes.
Kermit King.
Yes.
Steve Stallings.
Yes.
Coleman Mayhew.
Yes.
Bert Sellers.
Yes. All right, that motion carries. Gentlemen, take a few moments and review your minutes from the May 2024 meeting. All right, I've had time to look over the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the May minutes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a second right here from Vice Chair. Any discussion on the motion? Call the roll, please.
Jimmy Atkins,
Yes.
Ben Meeks,
Yes.
Alan Casper,
Yes.
Ward Rowland,
Yes.
Tim Cassell,
Yes.
Brian Shields,
Yes.
Kermit King,
Yes.
Steve Stallings,
Yes.
Coleman Mayhew,
Yes.
Bert Sellers.
Yes.
Right. All right, gentlemen, that brings us down to presentations. We have Chris here from Compex. We're going to allow him to come up and just talk to you guys a little bit about the system that we're going to be asking for a motion tonight to send to the Board of Supervisors for approval of purchase. And we'll invite him back up once we get to this under new business if you have any questions. So come on up, Chris. The floor is yours.
Appreciate all y'all's time. Just wanted to briefly go over what this narcotic is going to do for your county. Election of the is definitely going down.
Hey, Chris, sorry. Can you grab that mic right there? Yes, sir. We just live stream it so the citizens can hear as well.
How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I apologize. Anyway, this narc ID box would actually go on each vehicle. Anyone can build a box, but what's unique about this box, it's the electronic locks on the front. Inside, there are two antennae at the correct angle to read RFID technology, which is in this tote, which I'm going to pass around so you guys can see it firsthand. But basically, the capsule, you would put the vial of narcotics inside the capsule, and once the seal is broken, that'll tell you that you have to replace the tag, and you have an audit or a run number back here at the safe. So, but also one of the nice things about the system is it auto enrolls. So the central storage unit, which would take place of your pharmacy, is a 34 by 33 by 16 cabinet with the exact same E-lock on the front of it. It will hold 96 of those blue totes that are going around the room right now. So whoever adds the ketamine or fentanyl or midaz into it, they close the door, and within seconds, it automatically sends the inventory over to your laptop here. And then from there in the morning, you would scan your badge, open up the CSU, take out a blue tote, hand it to your paramedic, and they would actually go to the vehicle, scan their credential card, and put it into the narc ID box. 2 hours later, unfortunately, there's an accident out there. Fentanyl is administered, they break the seal, and they are prompted on the screen to enter an incident or run number. So basically, it's A to Z audit trail, Big Brother's watching. So you know exactly in real time where all your narcotics are throughout the city and which vehicle they're in. You could be in the Caribbean on a hammock, you could pull it up on your laptop and know exactly who used the fentanyl at what time, and you'll have the run number. So it's an A to Z audit trail, basically. Did I miss anything, Ben?
Sounds good. Will you go over just a couple of the security features as far as how you can have like dual authentication to get in the
Yes.
box and whatnot?
The way you would do it is you would use your existing credentials in y'all's county. This is an HID Prox card. They also have HID I-Class cards. You scan your badge in front of the lock. Right now it opens up. Like I said, the two antennae are there. But we also recommend a 6-digit minimum keypad or a code. So if somebody lost their badge, you know, Ben lost his badge, Johnny's a little bad boy, he'd take Ben's badge, open it, and get in. Well, not in this case, because you have to scan your credential card and enter a 6-digit PIN to get into the box. They would never have access to the CSU, the one that houses the thousands of narcotics. Only the top brass would have that. If there, God forbid, was ever a rollover or power failure, there is a mechanical key right here on the side that you could use to open it, but it's going to show in the audit trail as an unauthorized entry at that time and day, so you would know. All these that are passing around, the colors are odd because it's for colorblind people. So even if you can't read the print, the fine print, you can tell fentanyl's blue, ketamine's yellow, morphine's purple, midaz is orange. The only thing you would be replacing is the tag on the top, the RFID tag. They all have individual numbers associated with it. We like to think we've thought of everything. We'll get calls from around the country, and they're like, Aaron, the guy that helped develop this in Grays Lake, Illinois, it's nice, but we wish it did this. it does do that. You just have to turn it on, excuse me. There's like 64 columns that you could just parse. You don't want to see every time someone opens and closes the door, but it's in there. And one more important thing about the audit trail, you cannot change the audit trail, or an audit trail would not be any good. There are notes that you can add. For instance, if somebody put in incident number 674 and they meant to put it 764, then you can go into the notes section and say, hey, they just put in the number incorrectly. There's also a waste section. So depending on how your county wants to run the protocols, whether it's per milligram or a certain percentage, 30% wasted, it'll take dual credentials, 2 people to scan their badge to say, yes, 30% of that's gone. So we like to think it's pretty good system. We like to think it's the gold standard. Nobody has anything like it out there.
And this, just for clarification, guys, this is the box that would go in the ambulance. And then if you just want to explain to them, what would go in your station for the ones that are getting the bigger system.
The central storage unit, for the people that have the larger stations, this would be definitely mounted to the wall, plugged into a 115-volt outlet. The smaller units are definitely, they go right in the vehicles. However, if you have a station that's not that large, you can take one of these and mount it to the wall, and it would be like a mini CSU. So let's say the paramedic's done at 10 o'clock at night, he comes back. You don't want him accessing the CSU. He can't get into the large cabinet anyway. But if you have one of these mounted in the station, and that's for y'all to decide, he can scan his credential, put the tote back in here, and then in the morning when the supervisor gets there, he can look at the tote. Okay, nothing was used, it's inspected. Let's put it back in the central storage unit.
Awesome. Any questions for Chris? Like I said, he's going to stick around for a little bit so we can get him back up when we get to that section, but just wanted y'all to lay eyes on kind of what we are bringing up tonight. And hopefully our board members are watching this as well. All right, thank you, Chris. We'll call you back up if we need you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. All right, that brings us down to hearing of the citizens. Director Key, do we have anybody signed up?
Ethan Reagan.
All right, let me read the little section in here, since we do have somebody tonight. Each person addressing the board under hearing of the citizens shall be a resident or landowner of the county or the registered agent of such resident or landowner. Each person shall step up, give his or her name and district in an audible tone of voice for the record, and unless further time is granted by the chairman, shall limit his or her address to 3 minutes. No person shall be permitted to address the board more than once during the hearing of the citizens. All remarks shall be addressed to the board as a body and not to any individual member thereof. Hearing of the citizens shall last for a maximum of 45 minutes. Any individual that is signed up to speak during said section who does not get the opportunity to do so because of the aforementioned time limit shall be given speaking priority at the next board meeting. Absent chairman's approval, no person shall be able to speak who is not signed up. Come on up, Ethan.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've seen a couple of y'all before. Name's Ethan Reagan. Here on behalf of Chatham Rescue Squad, I'm one of the lieutenants with Chatham Rescue Squad. Here just advocating for the presentation that we had just a couple minutes ago. To give you a little bit of background, I've been with Chatham Rescue Squad for 3 years, been in EMS for a total of 6 years, and been a paramedic for 2 years. I've worked everywhere from Roanoke Fire and EMS to Pittsylvania County to Charlotte County, and the staff that we have at Chatham Rescue Squad that encompass our leadership have a plethora of experience between Campbell County Public Safety, Amherst County Public Safety, Roanoke Fire and EMS, and we're proud to say that all of our leadership is currently ALS. So when we went into this, we collaborate a lot with Ben through the association to look at different systems. And I will say, I'll have some humility for it. I came into it and I wanted a completely different system. I did not think this was the best system for our agency or for the county. My opinion of it has changed since then. We brought in, through our station, multiple paramedics and AEMTs that will be using this system to try to get a proactive response to them of what they think for this system. Out of the couple systems we look at, hands down, this was the best system. As I'm not the person signing for the medications, but as someone that will be responsible for helping to restock and account for these medications, I trust this system. To the point of we've talked internally for our agency, This system is so robust, I trust this with EMTs that may not have the ability to give these medications to be able to go to the truck and get that medication out for me and not trust or not being worried about them stealing the medication or something being lost or whatever may happen. And I will say mistakes happen. It's really important that we have this system. About a month into being a paramedic, I actually had a ketamine vial break on me. That was about 4.5 hours of paperwork at the hospital. So, having a good narcotics tracking system is very important. With the day and age that we live in, nothing's cheap. We all know that. All of us have been part of these agencies. We're all kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel right now. We just signed for a new ambulance, $325,000. I'm sure y'all remember us coming to you before. So having $325,000, then having to add another $25,000, $30,000 for a narcotics tracking system isn't exactly the most advantageous for the agency. We've lucked out better than others. We haven't had to build a whole new room to put it in and do all these security systems, but we are still looking at, in total, about $25,000 out the door is what we're having to do for the system if we had to pay for it ourselves. So having some support from the Board of Supervisors, from this group here if it goes forward, would greatly help us. I know it would help all the agencies across the county, just make sure we're continuing to operate. I think also Ben, everybody on the association has done a really wonderful job at giving some more peace of mind with how the system is going to work, how we're going to do things. Same thing with the county public safety staff. They've done a great job trying to answer questions and coordinate everything. So yeah, this is just the consensus of what everybody in the county wants. I haven't heard any objection, and I'd like to see y'all vote in favor of it. So,
Thank you, sir. All right, any other citizens signed up?
No, sir.
All right. Brings us down to number 10, Fire and Rescue Association reports. Chief Fowler's in the city working, so Chief Morakis.
Chairman Meeks, basically what we had at the Fire and Rescue Commission, Fire Rescue Association meeting was, the main topic was this system here. And it came out of the committee that was set up, and the Fire Rescue Association fully supports the compact system going forward. And hopefully from this board, or for this commission here going to the board, we'll see something out of it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any other report?
That's the topic of the evening on that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. County staff reports. Director Key.
Yes, sir. Under grants, we've got the Community Foundation cycle up and running. It closes at the end of July. So that's a great grant cycle to get into. For ATL funding, that's state funding for fire departments. We're scheduled to receive that in September. It's usually the first quarter of the fiscal year, so we should get that in and get that dispersed out. Fire and Rescue Service Agreement. This was approved by the board at its May meeting. We need departments to get it signed and get it turned back in. So far, I've got 11 have been turned in. Under the Fire and Rescue Study, all the site visits have been completed. We visited 32 different meetings over 3 days with all the departments, Board of Supervisors, had a few commissioners there, with public safety staff, and also with county administration. So that was quite a bit for 3 days of work. That's due back in within a couple months. We'll see how that comes back. I put together some packets that I'm taking out to all the departments. It's got the expenditure reports in it, which those are due back by August 1st. It's got last year's budget info in it and also this year's budget info. It's got your insurance cards, and it's also got a copy of the Fire and Rescue Service Agreement if anybody needs it. So the way that everybody will have access to it, I'll have all of them delivered by the end of this week. And then also one last thing is the mass casualty drill with the Sheriff's Department will be August the 23rd. I need as much help as we can get that day. That'll be at Unique Industries in Blair's.
What time does that start, Director?
Usually about 8.
Okay.
I think we try to get everybody there, get everything cleared, and get up and running as quick as we can. I know it's going to be hot, but we'll be inside for most of it, so that'll help. And that's it, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the Director? All right, that brings us down to unfinished business. I know we've had a month off in between our last meeting. One thing I wanted to bring up, Director, did you want to touch base with them? I know we understand we got a response from the county attorney on the waiving of the DEA fees, and you guys...
Actually, it wasn't from the county attorney, it was from the DEA.
Okay, perfect.
Let's see that.
I know we had made a motion here.
Yeah, we received confirmation, it was on July 3rd, that an agency does not need to have a letter written from Pennsylvania County to have the DEA license fee waived. The DEA application, there's a section where the state's certification for fee exemption. The agencies will need to put my name in this section, and my name, Chris Key, not my name, okay? And put my contact number and my email address, and it will ask for a fee exemption institution, and they'll need to put Pennsylvania County. And then they will call and email me to confirm all that.
Okay. Awesome. Casey, I know you sent that out, and you got all that down, right? We can talk about that at our next meeting.
I was reading her email, sir.
Good deal. Perfect. I knew I had seen something about it, but I knew this body had made the motion, so I wanted them to get the feedback. All right. And the only other thing, I know I sent an email to the attorney. If you could just check on Chris, we had changed made some bylaw changes for the commission previously, months ago. Could we check on where we stand with those? I know one of them was taking the association out of the voting because they only have voting privileges when it's a tie, and sometimes that interfered with when we were trying to have meetings outside of here and that whole rule of 2 people, and we couldn't have the association participating when any of us was there. It just kind of made it hard to conduct business, so we had discussed it and asked to have them removed, and they agreed to that. Could you see where we are with that?
I don't think the legislative committee has met since then.
Okay.
Because I know it was taken to them, but it wasn't addressed in their last meeting, and I don't think they have met since then. So
Okay.
I'll have to put it back on their agenda.
Okay, appreciate that. Any other questions or unfinished business before we move on, gentlemen? All right, moving down to new business. A is Board of Supervisors communication, but Mr. Vic Ingram's not here tonight. He's been in the doctor's office actually all day today. He texted me. He did want me to say that he is working on the fire and rescue memorial. They're trying to work with the county and with the town of Chatham. And he's looking at doing brick pavers as a fundraiser. And hopefully, Vic gets well. I know he's been sick, and hopefully he gets well and back up 100%. And we can get him back here to talk to us, and y'all can hear directly from him. So we'll move on down to item B, which is, that was actually Fire and Rescue Memorial update. So we'll move to item C, new business, drug box committee update. So, and I see Chris gave me 20 minutes. I appreciate that, Chris.
Figured you might need a few minutes.
Yeah. So a lot has happened. You guys are aware, obviously, that these changes are coming. We've kind of hammered that down, that this is not something we want to do, but something we have to do. That being said, I know we didn't have a meeting last month because it just wasn't anything really pressing to bring up and people on vacation and whatnot, but our committee still met multiple times. And during those meetings, we learned a lot, and we've made a lot of good progression. I can tell you all, at the last drug box committee meeting, every station in this county now has obtained their application for their controlled substance license through the Board of Pharmacy, and they're working on filling that out. We have several agencies that already have their controlled substance license to be able to house and stock controlled substances, which is Schedule 6. Obviously, with the new changes, we're going to have to be able to store, stock, and regulate, be our own pharmacy for 2 through 6. Or 2 through 5 is the update. So that being said, we wanted to take an opportunity to pass those applications out and work with them on filling those out, myself and Casey and everybody else that had already done one of those applications before. It's basically just recopying the same form and then filling out some extra information. One thing we did learn, they had talked about waiving the $300 remodel fee. I understand, Casey, if that's correct, they're not going to be waiving that. Not for EMS agencies. So anybody, and there was a lot, including my agency, that had to do a remodel because we relocated our room to a better area in our building, as I know several agencies, including the county, has had to do. They had to build a room. So you'll have to pay, the agency will, $300 for that license. The good thing is, as you guys heard just a little while ago, the DEA did say that we would be able to waive that fee. And what was that fee exactly? I think it was like
About $800.
Yeah, I think it was $800 or $900.
Somewhere in
So
that
that
area.
was a good thing. The DEA's helping us out. So that's the update on that. So we're progressing in the right direction with our license. I will say, we've encouraged folks to begin working on their rooms at their station. Right, obviously our committee can't go out and build rooms and do that. They got to do that, have that on stake in the game. But they know they can bring questions to us. But that being said, we cannot apply for any licenses until we pick which system we're going to use, which we have done that, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, and find out the direction the board would like to go, because that's going to be very determining on how some of these agencies are going to proceed with this. So, because that's part of it. You can't apply for a license if you don't have the system up and running, because when they come to inspect, which they will, then if it's not there, then you're not getting a license. So, so we're moving in the right direction with that, and our next meeting, which is, you said the 24th? 24th of July at 6 o'clock, Chatham Fire Station. We're going to be meeting with our drug box committee again. It's representation from all the agencies in the county and public safety, and that meeting will be heavily, well, let me rephrase. Depending on how the vote goes tonight and how the vote goes next week, that meeting should go heavily on policy, because once we have a system in concrete that we know we're going to be using, then we're going to get into policy. I know we've already got a couple policies that myself and Casey's provided, all the agencies in the county, and we're going to be discussing as a group to kind of adopt, for each agency. They'll be a little bit different, but pretty much across the board say the same thing. The beauty of this system here is if it's bought, the county's going with this system. They've already got allocated funds to buy the system. That's what they want to use. And all 11 volunteer agencies that has been meeting for months now and demoing different systems have chose this system as the most secure, the most user-friendly, and we believe the most appropriate for this county to be successful, because it gives a level of protection for the provider and for the agency and the citizens and the whole 9 yards. So a little bit about the system here. This is the Compex system, as you guys heard Chris say, and we'll bring him up if you have questions. The good thing about this system is it knows who goes in it, because when you scan your card or put your code in, it knows who, when, what time, what they took out of it. So those tags that are on those vials are RFID tags for each medication. So when you shut that door and stick that tote back in there, it's going to know that something's missing, and it'll be able to tell you something's missing. It also has audit features, so you can go up and hit the audit button on it, and it'll tell you everything that's in that box. And the good thing about that in this county and many counties alike, I'm sure Chris can explain, we're rural. We don't have a paramedic on every truck in this county, and we never will. So that being said, well, how do I keep my drugs? Because per off CMS, if it's an ALS licensed ambulance, it has to have narcotics on it. So how do you do it? Well, your paramedic, they can stock the meds onto the truck, secure it in that box. It'll know when they put it in there and what they put in there, and then it's secure. And they can stay on that truck on and on and on. Now, obviously, the DEA wants you to be checking them periodically, so guess what you do? You walk up and you hit the audit button, and you see what's in the box. And anybody can do that. An EMT can do that. Doesn't have to be a paramedic. But when a paramedic gets on the truck and they need to give a citizen drugs, like Chris said, it's a car accident and they have a broken femur, they need some fentanyl. They'll put their code in, scan their badge, open the door, get the fentanyl out. It's going to know they took fentanyl out. It's going to know who opened it. And it's all going to the software that comes with it, so we can see that. We'll know, whoever the administrators are of that agency, who's been in that box, what they've been taking, the whole 9 yards. So it's a DEA compliant system. It's a very robust system, and it's, in my opinion, it's what we need for this county. It does come with a hefty price tag. I'll be straight up honest with you guys, but we, and Casey can probably back me up on this, out of all the different systems we've demoed, as far as long-term use, this one's going to end up being the cheapest system because of the software charges to keep the box, up to date and running, and the tags you have to buy, right? Once you break a tag, that RFID tag's no good. You got to replace it. You can still reuse the capsule up to, they say 90 uses if they're gentle with them. Is that correct, Chris? So you'll have to replace those from time to time, but they should get a long-term use out of them. The tags, though, you'll have to replace, but we get the tags, pennies on the dollar, whereas some other systems, they were much more expensive. The software was much more expensive. It's just, when you looked at years to come, that was going to be the issue, was we were going to spend a lot more money that way than we would just paying the extra up front and getting a system that can do a whole lot of stuff. That was the other thing that caught our committee that we really appreciated, was even though that system is going to be set up pretty much the same for everybody, it can be tailored to your agency. So different things that you want, like Chris was explaining, if you want to be notified every single time it opens, the chief can get a notification every single time it opens. They can set that up, or whatever be the case. It has so many different avenues they can do. Again, that's the box for the ambulance. They have a bigger box that majority of our stations will be getting to put their drugs in, but we do have a couple of agencies that are going to be getting those boxes to use inside their agency. And I'm just going to pick on Callens for a minute because Damien's right there. Damien's actually already got one of these boxes because they were trying to be proactive, but Damien's agency runs, they run, what do y'all run, about 150 calls a year, Damien? Give or take. And so he's a smaller volume agency, right? Still needed. Those folks out there deserve EMS service. But it's not going to do him any good to have a box the size of that orange crate right there full of narcotics. It's just going to go bad. That box right there full of narcotics in his building as his pharmacy is going to be a plenty. And he'll be able to rotate them and not waste money for his agency. So that's the good options there. And I think they make a smaller box. Chris, is that correct? Come. Hold 6 drugs. So I don't think we have any EMS agencies that runs that little. So this is probably what everybody, right now, what we have quoted and what we're going to ask for. It's this size or the bigger one. But everybody on every ambulance in this county, we're going to request under this purchase, one single purchase to order all this equipment. They'll have one of those on every ambulance, which will come with one of those totes. We're going to order 30 of the medication capsules with the RFID tags and all that good stuff, and the software, and obviously Chris and them will help us get them set up and input. The plan right now is if the board approves it, if this commission approves it, and the board approves it, we're going to order them ASAP because we have to do a quick turnaround. November 27th is coming fast. We've got to get policy in place. We've got to get all that equipment ordered. We're going to ship it to the public safety office, from what I was talking to Casey. Then the agencies will be responsible to come. We'll set up a pickup time, come up, pick up what they're supposed to get for their trucks and their building, and then they'll work through Chris to get all the equipment set up. So that's kind of where we're at with the drug box system. Chris, did you want to talk to them about, because I'm not sure myself, how far are we looking on lead time if let's just theoretically say this is approved and our board approves it next week and we order, the following week? How far out?
6 to 8 weeks.
Okay. So you guys heard it, 6 to 8 weeks. So we can be developing our policy and moving forward, but that's still going to put us closer to November, September. So we're not going to have a lot of time to get this. And correct me if I'm wrong, Casey, the Office of EMS has already said they're going to switch to this new system from doing away with the drug boxes. I think that's what Chris told us from Western Virginia. They're not going to do it November 27th, because end of October or beginning of November. So we really don't have much time, guys, and we're meeting constantly. So that's why I say time is of the essence, and we got to make a decision tonight, and then the board's got to make a decision on which route they want to go, because if so, then we got to order this equipment, get it to these agencies so they can get their rooms finished up, get their licenses applied for, get their policy in place, get their drugs ordered. I mean, it's a whole lot that still got to happen for public safety and for every volunteer agency, for all of us. But I do appreciate Casey's been working her tail off. Me and her's been emailing back and forth or talking on the phone. I think I called her this past weekend over the 4th of July holiday, and I hated to do that, but I'm just sitting thinking about how quick we've got to move with this stuff. So I appreciate everybody that's been coming to those meetings. Chris, do you have a copy of our quote with you?
I can pull it up on the computer, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. If you'll pull that up and just kind of break that down to these guys and what the total price is.
Ben, could I ask one question?
Absolutely.
At this time? And I don't know if it's Chris or Chris Key or you. If we enter into this product right here, and this is the way we go, do we sign a contract? Are we in for like a year, 2 years? If a better product comes along in 5 years, can we get out of this contract with you, or how long? Are we entering into a contract? Okay. One-time purchase.
Yes, so
Okay. I didn't
basically,
know how
Bert,
that worked.
yeah, basically, Bert, the way it works is we buy the equipment up front, buy the initial software, the tech support up front for them to come out and help set it up, get us going. And then if you wish to continue to have their services to help you with issues, which I wouldn't recommend going against that. But
Is it any kind of maintenance fee for keeping him on call to be able to come and do?
Chris, you want to discuss that?
I love what I do. Compex has been around since 1903. We actually make 80,000 locks a day between the mechanical and electronics. I have been in Virginia every week since March, except for 1 week. I love it. Hopefully one day I'll be able to buy a house in Roanoke and be closer to y'all, but there's nothing out there like it, Ben. And you don't have any fees like you were mentioning earlier with the competition where they just every year just get you for fees. I pulled up the quote. Ben mentioned 30 NARC ID boxes. They're $3,500 a piece. So that would be $105,601 for all 30. Some of the agencies would need the larger central storage unit that houses the narcotics. It would hold close to 1,500 if you went with the blue boxes. Each blue tote, holds 15. So that would be 6 CSUs at $4,970 a piece. It's $29,823. We recommend going with the HID Prox card. You can get them through us. You get them through Amazon. 100 cards. They're $6 a piece. So that's $600. And then you wanted to start off, Ben, with 350 caps with tags of fentanyl, midaz, and ketamine, and then 1,050 of the small capsules that were inside the blue tote that the actual bio narcotic will go into. And then some extra tags, the ones that will be replaced every time that the seal is broken, 350 each, $4.02. But just to not brag, or just to let y'all know, we're getting a lot of agencies because of my efforts and the state of the beautiful Virginia Commonwealth. Fairfax is going with us, Suffolk, Chesapeake, Norfolk, James City, and so what's going to happen is those prices of the RFID tags will actually drop as we get to 1 million. It will not get higher. And then the software is $750, and then we recommend tech service $375 a year. But in the 14th month, Ben, if you call Mike Jensen or Matthew Brown in tech support, they're not going to be like, "Who are you? What's going on? What's your name?" They're just going to help you, unless there's a huge migration, you want to dump some data and so forth.
So I think that answers your question, Bert. If they want to continue after the 12 months, the tech support is $375, and that's per unit, right?
Correct.
Per unit. But he has, told us they're not going to leave you. They'll still help you, but that's what it'd be to keep
I think
them.
you have talked about it. Do we have to have extra insurance to cover this stuff while it's in the fire departments? Who pays for that, the county or the individual?
It's already included in your insurance.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So they're going to take this on without adding anything to the premium?
Yeah.
At one of the other meetings, and we talked about the insurance, about the guys that's having to do this, their, what's the insurance?
I guess it falls under malpractice insurance.
Malpractice, that's what I'm trying to say, because it even covered the OMD, some parts of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good. That answers all my questions.
Yeah, the individual from the insurance, Mike Bowery, that's his name. He came and talked to us, Bert, and that was a good question. That was something we was concerned about because it isn't a lot of extra liability.
I knew we had talked about it. I just couldn't think what the final answer was.
Yep.
One last thing, Commissioner. We love input, so we're not a perfect company. If y'all think of something you need, we can add it to the software and we won't charge you for it. Everybody benefits from that. So if you think of something, you're like, "Oh, this is great, but can we add this?" Then the next software, we will add it. No charge.
Okay. Can you give us that total? Do you have a total?
Yes, $158, $291, and 10 cents. $158, $291, and 10 cents.
Okay.
And that's for 11 agencies, I believe you mentioned?
Yes, 11
Yes, sir.
agencies, because the county public safety units, they're going with you guys, but their money's already been allocated separate.
Okay.
But that's something that I did want to point out, is we will be able to play off each other. And I can call Casey, Chris, whoever. It's not going to be any mass confusion because we're going to have different systems. That was one thing that I know Mr. Tucker, Mr. Dalton, several of the board members I had talked to, said, hey, we want to support this, but we're only going to support it if there's continuity across the board. And so that's a good thing that we were all able to come to a common consensus because the equipment's good. I mean, I'm not trying to sell it to y'all, but that's what I want in my agency because I trust that it's going to keep me safe and out of trouble. So we'll be able to help each other out, is what I'm trying to say, throughout the county. Obviously, we can call Chris, and he'll be able to help us first and foremost, but if I got a question, hey, my box is acting funny, I'll call Casey and see if she's seen this. And anybody in the county can do that. So,
That's a good point. It's a nice feeling. Thank you, Ben.
yep.
Mr. Commissioner, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Is it any way possible that Chris can email that to every agency, the 11 transporting agencies, so that they'll have a copy and they don't have to go in front of their board or whoever and drop it on them? And, they got the numbers, so they
Yeah.
can see it because, they have board meetings every couple of months and we need to roll on it. And
Yeah.
they don't need to be blindsided. We talk
Yeah.
about it and probably not listening or watching or whatever, but they need to know.
Yeah, I think Chris would be glad to do that. I think the good thing is, definitely should do that, because, right, if the Board of Supervisors decides not to support this endeavor, then the agencies ultimately will be responsible for purchasing themselves, and they're going to need to know those numbers. So we'll get you to do that, Chris. I think you have a contact list already for all the agencies, but if you don't, in case, we'll make sure we get you one.
Perfect.
But yeah, the hope is that we get a motion from this body, and then the Board of Supervisors will approve it. And then if so, we will do all the purchasing through the county. We'll let Connie Gibson, we've already got a sole purchase agreement. Casey's already taken care of that for us. Sole source, I think is what it is, single source anyway. And so hopefully they'll take care of that for us. And then we'll pick it up from the Public Safety Office and implement it. Because, I don't want to get it twisted here. People saying, well, the county's paying for all that. What's the agency's paying for? Well, they're going to have to buy the drugs. They're going to have to renovate their station. They're going to have to make sure that they have the policy in place. They're going to have to make sure that they have the administrators in place, which is going to require more checks and balances. Like in my building, you got to put in a security system at every agency. That doesn't come with this, an additional security of the building, of the room, and cameras that have to be constantly, surveillance. So there's a lot more cost behind the scenes that these agencies are already having to eat. And it's going to add up quick because it's every month, those monitoring services and whatnot. So this seems like a big purchase up front, but this is going to keep our agency safe and out of trouble and help these agencies out financially, pay for all that other stuff, and not have to worry about this. Because if we don't do that, then they're going to have to worry about that as well. And I just have a bad feeling some agencies aren't going to be able to foot all those bills.
I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
On the tech support, that $375, is that a year subscription to that, or?
Yes, sir.
So
If you
every
would
year
like-
is $375
if you would
added
like-
expense?
If you would like that, yes, but the second year you don't need to.
Oh, I'm sure we're gonna need it. Yeah.
I don't know, y'all look pretty bright to me.
Oh, no.
And one thing I wanted to point out, Ben, I was up with Ben and Ryan at Amherst today, and they have their security system in place on the wall with the camera. So if you might, maybe get a deal and find out who he used as a.
Yeah, so we've already been working on that in our committee.
Okay.
Security Zone and Danville's doing a lot of our agencies, so that's
Awesome.
kind of who we're suggesting.
Okay, great.
Again, we're not trying to sell for anybody. They
Sure.
can go whoever they want, but we just gave suggestions. Yeah, I think this is a good route here. I like to be able to sit remote and look and see who's winning our drug box. To me, that's important, considering that my name will be one of the names on my license. And when the DEA comes knocking, where's this fentanyl? I'd like to say, well, I know who last had it. So, that's important. And I will say, we are also working on reverse distributors. So when the narcotics have expired, you can't just open them up and shoot them down a drain no more. That's illegal with the new changes. So you have to pay a third-party company to come in, pick that medicine up, and pay them a fee. That's called reverse distributed, okay? We are working with the state, with Western Virginia EMS, to try to get a state contract. But whether we do or not, we still have to do it by law. So either the agency's going to eat that cost no matter what. But whether it's going to be a better cost or a more expensive cost, it's going to be a cost. The other thing is wasting. We're trying to work with the hospitals and with our EMS council, which has been great so far, in wasting the medication. So let's say with fentanyl, you give 50 mics, you got 50 mics left in the vial, you got to waste it somewhere. Again, you can't throw that in the trash. You can't shoot it down a sink. You got to draw it up and put it in a wasting medication station, and it has to have 2 people sign verifying that's where it went. You didn't shoot it in your pocket or something, or put it in your pocket and walk out with it. And then that's a fee also. So, I'm not sure if the hospital's going to take on all that expense and let us just use it for free. I don't know. But that is something that we're probably going to have to pay for somewhere down the road, and we're working on that. I actually got 2 quotes today that I'm going to bring up at our next committee meeting. So again, there's a lot of costs behind the scenes. So any other questions for Chris on this system? Yes, sir.
I just wondered, are these permanently mounted in these units?
Yes, sir. So they'll mount them. Chris, you want to explain, show him?
There's 4 eyelets right here, Steve, right?
Steve?
Yeah, yes. So you would basically put 2 screws into the vehicle, hang it, and then mount the other 2 down below, and hardwire it, 12 volts hardwire. Red would be positive and black would be negative, and that's it. Takes 15 minutes.
Does it have any tracking capabilities if it was to get stolen or?
No, sir.
Yeah. I just wonder, people think of all kinds of things. It looks like it's full of money.
Like an AirTag or
Yeah,
something?
it looks like
Sure.
it's full of money. So, you get these units sitting somewhere and somebody breaks in them and steals the whole thing. It'd be nice to know where they went.
That's a great idea. In fact, I'll let Aaron and Mitch know in Grays Lake, Illinois. It's something maybe we can implement and put it inside the NARC ID box. Thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah, I will say that's a great idea. The one good thing is even if they steal it, obviously they can get in and where there's a will, there's a way, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult because they're not going to have our credentials to get into it. So hopefully, if you look at what the rules and regs say now, if that truck, let's say, our providers go to Food Line and get some dinner for the night to make dinner, they're supposed to, that box is going to be mounted to the wall, secured shut. It's going to be behind another locked set of doors in the back of the ambulance, and you're supposed to lock the ambulance and take the keys with you when you go in. So they, hopefully, you got three locks I got to break through and find where that's at on the truck. Again, I'm not saying what you said is obviously we haven't seen that with any system we've demoed yet, though. That is something that I wish we could get to track to see if somebody takes the whole box off the wall. But
It
Yeah.
may never happen, but once it happens, it's too late.
that's right. That's right.
2 weeks ago, Prince William asked if we could put a camera inside to see who's actually opening the box. So there's these things that are evolving we could definitely do one day.
Yeah.
I also know there was questions, so that's not a refrigerated box, obviously. And for folks that's been in EMS and stuff, there's some drugs that have to be kept at, certain temperatures. But the good thing is, you tell me, if you have a refrigeration system, a lot of the ambulances now have a refrigeration box that the drugs go in. That is good down to what degrees? Did y'all test it
I
at?
can't remember.
Yeah, he said it was real low.
It was pretty low, yes.
Yeah, it was below freezing, I'm pretty
Yes,
sure,
it was.
and then it was way up over 100 degrees heat-wise it withstood. So it would be no concern there. It would be able to sit in there in your temperature-controlled unit and still be able to breathe and not harm your drugs. Because some drugs, like ketamine's one of them, that is kind of temperamental with temperature. So that was something I just want to throw out there because that was a question we had during our last review of this.
One of the alerts is if the door is left ajar. So Ben, you could get an alert and actually call your guys and go, guys, can you please close the door? They're going to close it and hang up. They're going to say, How in the world did he know that?
Any other questions for Chris?
Mr. Chairman, obviously, the software, you said is going to make the tags. It's for the individuals, the ID tags to get in the box, the access tags or credentials. How hard is that to change? Let's say somebody changes a certification or they lose one and they don't, is that hard to do, or is it?
As far as losing a tag?
I mean, now, as far as changing their credentials, if they go from a medic
no,
to
no.
an EMT.
The LockView software that's on the laptop, Ben will go into access rights, and he'll be able to say, Johnny, Tim, and Martha have access to vehicles 1 through 4, and he can parse it up however he wants. So the paramedics are only going to have access to what you guys tell them they're going to have access to. Did that answer your question? Tell me, please elaborate.
Well, I'm just trying, I mean, so they will have that right, each individual agency will have that right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because
Good
I was
question.
trying to figure who, like I said, if I went back to an EMT and didn't have any access to it, went from an intermediate to an EMT all at once, then that would leave, I would have credentials to get in that box.
Yeah, so your administrator over that system, it's sort of like our door system at Gretna. It's RFID. We scan our card to get in. We know who's been in the building, what time they entered, and we have cameras as well. Well, let's say I have a member that is on suspension or quits from the department, and they don't turn in their little
Key fob.
key fob. I call it the little dongle or whatever you want to call it. They don't turn in their key fob. I can go in and remote access and just cut theirs off. They can't get in. I can change the settings on it. We have certain doors to our offices that our officers only can get in. So their call will get them in the door, the front door, and then it'll get them in the office. Well, let's say they're no longer an officer. I can just cut that feature off, and they only can get in the front door, not the. So that's sort of the same concept here.
And like you mentioned, Ben, we always recommend turning their access rights off. Never remove them from the system, because Johnny's a bad person. 2 months from now, he could try to access a building or a vehicle. Then you say, Johnny, we have you on camera. You said you lost your key fob. Please turn it in, or we're calling the police. So never remove their credentials. Just put them to sleep.
Yep.
Any more questions, sir?
That's a good question. All right. Any other questions? All right, gentlemen, so it's time to decide what your pick of your pleasure is. I will say you all heard the chief from the association. The association supports the purchase of this item. I know Casey and her group at Public Safety, this is what they've already decided they're purchasing, so we know they're on board. And I can tell you our committee, we keep minutes each month, so if anybody is interested, we can send them to you. It was a 11-0 vote, all agencies, and Casey actually voted, so it was 12-0, but because she's a part of it, but they're already getting it. But it was a 12-0 unanimous vote to buy this system out of the 3 that we demoed. And so we're asking this body to make a motion for this amount to be sent to the Board of Supervisors, put on their work session next Tuesday, discussed, and ask them to vote on this next Tuesday at their Board of Supervisors meeting at 7 o'clock.
Also move that.
Okay, got a motion on the floor by Alan Casper.
I'll second.
All right, Tim Cassell second. All right, any discussion on the motion?
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
You said you demonstrated 2 other options. What were the prices on those? Can you make that available to us?
Yes, so we didn't really, and I don't want to knock anybody's system, so one system we just wasn't fond with at all. It didn't meet the needs, and they were honest. They said we're for like lot larger cities. Y'all are not going to be able to work with it, so we never really got it concrete pricing from them. The other system that we worked with was a nice system. It didn't have near the features this one did. That one was cheaper upfront cost. I want to say around $100,000, so it's about $60,000 cheaper up front. However, in case if I'm correct saying this, the issue was at hand is the long term, their software, like if the tech support, if we wanted to keep it, was a whole lot more expensive than these guys. And the tags, the cards, everything pretty much was much more expensive. Did I say that correct, Casey? Again, I'm not calling names. I don't want to knock anybody's product. But that's, our committee met and discussed it, and we just seen that long term we could see that system get really pricey. And what I'm afraid of, I'm hoping we can help build some of this in future years into the service agreement to get some help from the county. But right now, it's all going to be, once they get this system, if the board graciously buys it for us, it's going to be on the agency to take care of buying all their own supplies for it here on out, including the medications, but also the tags and tech support and whatnot. So we try to say, thinking long term, how can we keep it cheapest for them? So that was kind of how we, I don't have any concrete numbers in front of me right now, but I can tell you it was about 60,000 difference. So cheaper. Like I said, this is the most expensive system, but I am a firm believer in you pay for what you get. So, okay, any other questions? All right, so we had a motion and a second on the floor. Motion was by Alan Casper, second was by Tim Cassell. Again, that is to send this with approval from this body for the amount of $158,291.10. Is that correct, Alan?
That is correct.
Okay. To the Board of Supervisors. Call the roll, please, clerk.
Jimmy Atkins,
Yes.
Ben Mix,
Yes.
Alan Casper,
Yes.
Ward Rowland, Tim Cassell,
Yes.
Brian Shields,
Yes.
Kermit King,
Yes.
Steve Stallings,
Yes.
Coleman Mayhew,
Yes.
Bert Sellers.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Chris, we appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you so much. I know you got to run to Greensboro now and keep working, so thank you for being here. We'll see you a lot here soon. Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to move down to item D, 13D, Fire and EMS Billing Update. Vice Chair King.
I think unfortunately, everybody that's on the billing committee has been on the drug box committee. So we haven't
took
met.
all their time.
Yeah, we hadn't really met a lot, but hopefully we can get something like, Chris, did you have anything on it? that you-
No, if you want to go back over who all's on the committee to make sure they're aware.
Yeah, go back over that list. I know it's me and Dean, but
You got Atkins and King, KCC, Scott Hutcherson, Fowler, and Maracas is the 6 that are on it.
okay. But hopefully we can get something off the ground at the next meeting. We'll just table this one and come back to it at the next meeting.
All right. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Y'all going to try to meet and get back to us to next meeting?
Yes,
Sounds good.
yes.
All right. Next item is fire and rescue graduation. I asked to put this on here. No actions needed on this. I just wanted to take a moment to highlight how successful in my mind that went. We graduated, was it 48 students out of Fire 1, Chris?
42.
42? 42 students, and then several EMTs. I don't remember the exact
13.
number. 13 EMTs. And we done a very nice graduation ceremony out at Chatham Middle School a couple weeks ago. The director was there, a couple of the fire marshals, the deputy director. I know we had several of the commissioners here. And guys, they really appreciated that. 9 of those members were from my department. And they said, they never really felt that kind of appreciation before. They seen what we were trying to do there, and they recognized it. And that's the kind of stuff I know Chairman Dalton and Vice Chair of the Board of Supervisors, Mr. Tucker, was both there. They both spoke, and both of them said afterwards, we need to keep this going and build on it every year. We need to make sure we put a little bit of money in the budget to help out, because everything for that was donated. I'm going to give credit, fire and safety out of Concord. They donated the money for the food. We had volunteers from several stations throughout the county that pitched in. The director took care of certificates. Me and Dean worked on the program. Everybody pitched in. All the lead instructors came up and spoke, and they did it all for free. Nobody was being paid to be there. And it was a good night, really fun time, and was a really good thing for our fire and rescue community that we're able to put 42 more people out there to fight fires and 13 more EMS providers to help folks. So I just wanted to highlight that before we left here tonight. All right, moving down to other matters from the commissioners. We're going to start to our left here, and I'm going to go to Director Key.
Nothing to add, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Glenna, we appreciate you, as always. Mr. Rowland, we'll roll.
Something to be proud of, seeing all those kids go on. appreciate them putting time into that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Stallings.
Nothing to add.
Okay. Mr. Shields.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to be involved in the fire and rescue study. I was able to attend that at Blair's Fire Station, and really felt that some good things came out of that meeting. Also, to the graduates, I was there for the fire and rescue graduation, and I was really impressed. Special thanks to all the men and women that put the time in to teach and to spend the time with the men and women that graduated. It's took a lot of time and effort. And also, I would like to say, and I think we need to look into this, but I'd like to say a special thank you to Chief Mike Neal on his retirement from Ringo, for the years of service that he put into that organization, and also to congratulations to the new chief, Commissioner Atkins. His son is taking that appointment, and I wish him the best. And last, to the men and women that represent the fire and rescue stations across this county, paid, volunteer, to the dispatchers, to everyone, special thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Shields. Appreciate that. Tim Cassell.
I want to thank everybody for helping out get this drug box situation going. Thank you for your vote. We need it. It's not a done deal. We still got a whole lot to do in a short amount of time. Another thing too, with this heat out here, if you get a fire or anything, don't hesitate to call extra resources, quick.
Thank you, sir. Colby Mayhew. Thank you, sir. All right. Chief Maracas.
Nothing to add, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Casper.
Just thank you to all our fire and rescue providers here in Pennsylvania County. It's quite a job that they do, and I think a lot of times it goes unnoticed, but it is noticed, at least by everybody sitting up here. I think it is definitely noticed.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sellers.
First of all, I'd like to thank the gentleman from Chatham for coming tonight and taking their time to speak to us. And second, I'd like to say that I am proud of this committee here, how cordial and courteous and polite we are in conducting our meetings right here. They've been smooth for the last 12 months, and the people we have on this committee is the reason for it. Ben, you do a good job. What you do in Peanut, Kermit, Mr. King, I'm sorry. I'll get it right in a minute. Mr. King, you do a good job as the assistant commissioner, but I thank everybody for what they do here. I'm proud to be on this committee.
We appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Sellers. Mr. Atkins.
Well, if you ride around in your truck and you're listening to your radio, and I keep one in my work truck every day, you're still going to hear Mike Neal on the radio. No doubt he doesn't even have to really have an assigned number, but it's 2321. And he's got his hands still in his stew stirring and trying to keep things aligned, but he needs our support and our prayers. And the other thing was Jimmy Holly, he's still kind of on the downside, having some rough days, some good days. Need to keep him in your prayer, amongst other people who's in the fire service and in your communities and stuff like that. I didn't realize it was so much to do with just driving an ambulance in until about the last 2 weeks, and I decided I'd drive in. Good thing, bad thing, I don't know, I ain't figured it out yet myself. But just remember all of the volunteers. I listen to them on the radio. I keep the radio in the truck and all over the county. And if they're fighting fire out there somewhere, they need some help. Even a bottle of water will do just wonderful things in days like the last few weeks. You know, it doesn't matter if it's public safety or, you know, Broswell or Blair's or whoever, you know, they need your support, you know, and our job is to look after our brothers and sisters in the service that we're providing. Everybody keep doing what they're doing, you know. If you sit around and listen to your radio, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on in the county. I think that an idea would be just give your supervisors one radio to where they can't turn off and they got to listen to it. There's a lot going on. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Vice Chair King.
Excuse me, okay. Like I said, congratulations to Chief Neal, and I still would like to see him come to some meetings, because he's an interesting character. We go back to the courtroom days of arguing up in the courtroom on these nights at the Fire Rescue Association. And he was arguing then, he's still arguing now. So, but thanks to all that he's done over the years of, brought everything to the fire and EMS where it is today. And to your son, Jacob, he's kind of like one of my own. I wish him well.
He needs prayer.
Yeah. The graduation, like I said, I was definitely there, and it was great to see. I got to talk to a lot of the ones that graduated, and it was nice. It was real nice. Thank y'all for all that you've done to that. The Drug Box Committee, y'all still got your hands full, so, y'all doing a great job. Just stay at it. I don't know whether anybody heard or not, Mr. Atkins said that different ones need prayer. Y'all don't quote me on calling his name right now, but Chad Icoast, he's had some illnesses, so we need to keep him. He's one of our deputies, and he's also a member of Broswell, correct?
Yes.
So keep him in your prayers. I remember talking to him several times at some of the meetings, and so I don't leave anybody out. Thanks to everybody that makes our public safety system work.
Thank you, sir. So just to reiterate what some of my colleagues have said, I want to thank the volunteers for everything they do. I want to thank the public safety staff. Like I said, I couldn't do what I've done so far with this drug box stuff if it weren't for Casey. I know she's sick and tired of me calling and texting her, but that'll continue for a little bit longer, and hopefully we'll be done. But I do appreciate her work and everybody else's work. Appreciate everybody that pitched in for the graduation. Like I said, Mr. Tucker said we need to springboard off this and keep doing it and grow it. And so I look for that to become an annual event, and it should. And so we look forward to that. I do want to take a minute and, first I want to say, let me reiterate with the heat. These brush fires, we had one down at my way today. I was leaving work by the time it come out, and I listened to it all the way from Lynchburg. And those guys gave a good fight. Public safety jumped right in and helped them. It's 100+ degrees out there. People drop quick, and they're trying to stop these fires from burning up woods and property and life. And, like Mr. Sellers and Mr. Atkins said, sometimes just a bottle of water. I heard Matt Abbott, works for the county, say, "Hey, Casey, grab the cooler." And she said, "I'm going to get it." And then Scott said, "No, I already got it. I'm going to get ice, and we're on the way." That matters. Like, you might not think you're doing much, but that's a big deal, getting that hydration there for those guys. And so we appreciate that. And that's one team, one service. That's working together. And that's what the goal is, to work together. I do want to take a moment and just remind our folks to be very careful. This job that we do, whether you're paid or volunteer, the fire service has no care. It'll take your life in a moment's notice. And there's been over 30 line of duty deaths, where I think we're up to 30 now for this year. And there's several people local that's been hurting or lost their life one way or another to the fire service. Lynchburg City fireman lost his battle with brain cancer, and he was just at work last week riding the engine. So, he showed grit and tenacity to the end, and that's the heroes. And so, just take care of your people, clean your gear. I was young once, and the salty-looking helmet was cool, but now it's not cool because it's cancer. Clean your equipment, do what you can, take care of your people, and we all see things that most won't see in a lifetime. We see in a few weeks' time or a few years' time. So take care of them mentally too. If you don't have a mental health program, I recommend reaching out to Damian Maracas, him and his deputy chief up at Callens. They do a great job coming out. They'll do a session with you. They'll actually help you get a program started. We started it at Gretna. We put money into it. so that if we have somebody that's struggling, they may not want to open up to us in our inside to people they know. So we can take that funding we've set aside and get them help they may need. Because we've all been there if you've been in this service long enough. So just take care of you folks. And I want to say prayers to all those in South Hill, that all those firemen recuperate. I don't know if any of y'all keep up with what's going on around our state, but there was a very, very large fertilizer fire down in South Hill. It was a large ag supply company that makes fertilizers. A car actually wrecked, hit a propane tank. The propane tank vented itself, flipped over and vented into the store, into the building, the warehouse, set the building on fire. And you can imagine you got an accelerated fire with fertilizer in there. They had to do a 2-mile evacuation, and I think they had 156 firemen at one time during the peak of it working that fire. All their turnout gear, their packs, everything's got to be sent back to be washed and deconned, and some of it they're going to lose. They're going to have to buy new, which I'm sure they had insurance, but they need our prayers. 15 firemen ended up in the hospital from heat-related and burns and whatnot. I think all of them are doing good now, but that's something, that could happen around here. So we just need to constantly be pre-planning and ready to do what we need to do. I think they activated their EOC, and that's something we probably need to practice and be prepared. But just take care of your people, and prayers for Mr. Jimmy Holly, great man, and we miss him on this committee. And that's all.